One criteria that I heard is that you could make ThoughtSpot look like a Ligentia product. In fact, nobody even knows on the back end that's what's powering that. So this kind of white labeling, it sounds like that was important.
Absolutely, yeah. We wanted to control the brand experience, the same login for customers, removing the friction and having the experience of being in one trusted platform for making those decisions.
Yeah, and what you keep referring to experience, but experience is a hard thing to evaluate. It's not a single feature or function. What would you advise other CIOs to look for? How do you capture and evaluate solutions on experience?
A lot of times it's definitely the friction that you're trying to remove, right? So you have to understand, how does the end user of your platform engage with the platform? It's the clicks. In our industry, it's also down to some of the functionality, the features. Our users want to be able to manage the data, right? The Excel spreadsheet still is relevant. So ability to be able to run reports, extract data, merge the data, a lot of the self-service functionality, that is part of the experience. It's navigating less through different screens, being in one place, and then having the key functionality that's important for you to work with data that's available across multiple systems.
Yeah. Now, Ligentia is a global supply chain provider, but you also operate within the EU. We have the EU AI Act that requires transparency and some different policies in the US. How do you approach these differing regulations and making sure that you as a company are compliant, but also the providers that you work with support the different requirements?
Here in Europe for AI and the policies, I see things being a lot more structured. You need to be clear on how your models work, how decisions are made, how you explain those decisions. You mentioned the EU AI Act. It shows up in very practical ways. Things like transparency, auditability of data, making sure there's always a human oversight in how decisions are applied. And then in the US, especially around the Bay Area, you see companies moving faster, taking a little more risks, less upfront constraint, and more experimentation. And so for us, operating globally, you can't really build two different approaches, right? So we design often to a higher standard from the start, making sure that we build explainable, governed, and scalable solutions across different markets. It's a little bit more effort upfront. I can't avoid that, but it does avoid the rework that comes in later. And more importantly, it builds trust. It builds trust, which is critical when you're using AI to support real operational decisions. Just last week, when I was with a customer in Singapore, a lot of questions come in. Explain us how AI got to that. So it is good for us to have that coaching to be able to do the walkthrough of how the models are built. That just builds more confidence.